All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting of the Board of Education to order. We'll start by reading our vision statement that every school will be a thriving school that prepares every student to graduate from high school, college, career, and community ready. We'd like to ask for a moment of silence this evening for our district to recognize the passing of Stephanie Wilson Bernard, who was a second and third grade teacher at Alvium Elementary School. Stephanie is remembered as someone who was passionate about teaching, always leading with compassion and love for every student. Stephanie loved sharing books with her students, engaging them as if by magic. There wasn't a child or adult who wasn't mesmerized by her storytelling, teaching. She always ensured that every child felt important. Her ability to create a community built on respect, love, and compassion for all was a gift she held and shared. She is deeply loved by staff, parents, and students. She was a teacher to all, leading the work towards being an anti-racist organization. We were blessed to have Stephanie in our district and in our lives, and she will be missed. Stephanie's passing has taken a significant toll on so many students, staff, and families in the Alvium community. We remember them tonight. Please join me in participating in a moment of silence in honor of Stephanie. Thank you. We'd like to ask for a moment of silence this evening for our district to recognize the passing of Haley Savage Martinez, who was a dual language immersion, language arts, and social studies teacher at Senate Middle School for many years, and also a district teacher leader who helped develop MMSD's biliteracy curriculum. Haley is remembered as a loving and caring human being who brought light to everyone and anyone she crossed paths with. Haley's passing has taken a significant toll on our community. We remember and honor her legacy tonight. Please join me in participating in a moment of silence in honor of Haley. Thank you. We'll move on to public comment. A summary of 7 written registrations submitted from noon on Friday, August 26th until 3 p.m. on Monday, August 29th follows below. 2 opposed to MMSD charging retirees more than the full monthly cost for dental insurance for active employees. 4 in support of the Pine program expansion and in support of hourly wage increase for SCAs and EAs. 1 opposed to incorrect data and special education and IEPs being shared with board during the board retreat. We'll move on now to public comment. We have, I think, 11 folks online and 8 folks in person. We're going to start with our folks who are online tonight.
First up, we have Kelly Main Johnson.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. I just wanted to take a minute to share the importance of SEAs in our school district. My son, his name is Dane. He is severely autistic and completely nonverbal. We are reliant on the SEAs who take care of him and also provide him FAPE. They are the reason that my son is able to come to school. They toilet him, they provide care for him, they make sure that he is safe at all times. Not paying them a livable wage is a disgrace, and MMSD should be ashamed of themselves that it's taken this much for they've had this much of a fight for them to get that wage increase. Shame on you. Allie, we went to school together, Mrs. Muldrow. I think you know the importance of our special education program, and these children are the most vulnerable people in our school district, and they should be awarded and taken care of by people who are able to go home and pay their bills. It is common decency. It is a disgrace that we are even having this conversation. These people, my son's school lost 5 SEAs that I'm aware of from last year, 5. They probably went down the street to Culver's and to Quick Trip because they're paid more money than they are by MMSD. That is sad. These children deserve better, and they should expect better from this board. I hope tonight that you vote to increase the SEA pay across the district. We should not even be having this conversation. They deserve a livable wage, and my son deserves the care that he is entitled to. MMSD preaches equity. They preach to be inclusive. In order for some of our most vulnerable special needs students to be included, they need the support of SEAs. It is not equitable for them not to be included. And the only way we include these children is by making sure that they have the supports in place that they need. And it starts with the SEAs. That's all I have tonight. I hope you guys do the right thing. They deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kathy Rezick.
Hi, my name is Kathy Rezak, and thank you, Kelly, for speaking up. I am an SEA, and I've worked for the district for 20 years, and I don't make $20 an hour. I'm not respectfully asking anymore. I'm begging you for a $5 an hour increase and a full cost of living raise. Our students' education, safety, mental health, and happiness are our priorities. With the ongoing staff shortages and the increased workload that we've been forced to endure, it not only impacts our safety, mental health, and happiness, it impacts our students as well. Morale is at an all-time low. The employees who have been here for years and have been dedicated to our students did not receive a pay increase when the district increased the starting pay a few years ago. We feel like we have been tripped and shoved to the ground. Every time we are told how much we're appreciated and what great work we're doing, it's like you are kicking us in the teeth while we're still on the ground. Please stop telling us how much we are appreciated and start showing us by increasing our hourly wage by $5 and giving us a full cost of living increase. Your SEAs desperately need this. I've worked for this district for 20 years, and I don't even make $20 an hour. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Christian Olson.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for having me. I'm a parent to 2 children in MMSD, one in a middle school and one in an elementary school. And I'm also here to speak in support of the raise for SEAs and paraprofessionals across the district. In the past 2 years as a parent to a child with a disability in this school district, I've realized that there's a lack of systemic support for our kids with disabilities. And so I wanted to speak in favor of a raise for SEAs and in support of expanding the PINE program, which is on your agenda tonight. I think that really those are two keys to ensuring that our students will benefit from education, advancing technology, and really harness the human potential and build appreciation for the differences that students bring to MMSD, which is really part of your responsibility as the school board. And this is especially true for children with disabilities who are under your charge, who can't rely on traditional means of learning and depend on the effort and creativity of the educators around them. And paraprofessionals are their lifeline. In the past 50 years, we've seen transformative developments in assistive communication technologies, implants, transplants, and new research on disability gain. But all of that research is not currently present in MMSD. And disabled children continue to face low expectations, outright prejudice, and isolation. And this arises in great part from their segregation, isolation, and lack of opportunity in the educational system. And I think we need to look no further than rates of educational segregation, restraint, seclusion in our own district to know that this is true. So there are two things you can do tonight. One is that you can provide a much needed raise for paraprofessionals and SEAs who are critical to our children's education. And you can expand the PINE program, which will support the inclusion of all children with disabilities across the district and also bring important elements of neurodiversity into our conversation about gender inclusivity and also racial bias that really haven't been addressed in MMSD to date. And so I really urge the board to act on these issues right away. If you don't provide a living wage to SEAs now, you won't be able to meet your obligations as a district to our children or to the community in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ray Mendez.
Hi, good evening. I'd like to thank all of you who took the time to meet with me and share your worldviews and vision. And Ali, particularly you, for working so closely with Martha and I every Friday. It's much appreciated. I now understand much more of the obstacles you all face, and that's a great start for us to begin moving forward, I think. As a parent, I now know what you face, and I understand how hard it is. And Dr. Jenkins, I look forward to meeting you tomorrow. Appreciate your time. I know it's a busy day. I represent a group of parents who continue to want to help our kids as much as we can. And today we support two items on the agenda. The first one is the PINE expansion. I think it's item 10.13. I sincerely believe that PINE is a program that could be an important piece of our larger strategic framework recalibration. It could be studied as a pilot so that best practices can be extracted and applied to the whole system through the lens of neurodiversity, which takes away all the, the politically charged labels. Neurodiversity is all of us. And considering its positive impact, I think it's well worth the cost, but it needs its support. It needs to be supported because teachers have plenty to do, and more than plenty to do. And it's going to be tricky to give them something else, but we've got to do it and support them in whatever way we can as we move forward. The second thing is we'd like to strongly support the raise of $5 an hour for the special education assistants. I think it's item 14.1. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Alyssa Buss.
Hello, my name is Alyssa Buss and I'm the band teacher at O'Keefe Middle School. This will be my 9th year in MMSD. Music classes are a haven for students to feel belonging and community at their school. These experiences have the potential to be in a scholar's life for their entire academic career and beyond. The relationships built with the teachers and peers in music classes can act as an oasis from the stressors put on students in their core classes, but it doesn't end there. Our district is prioritizing literacy and AVID this year. Performance-based music classes inherently utilize strategies that promote literacy and AVID, with marking the text, note-taking, peer groupings, reflections, questioning, and vocabulary building, to only name a few. These are everyday, deeply rooted parts of the rehearsal process. While simultaneously creating a space for immediate collaboration, project-based learning, and literacy, performing, listening to, and coming together around music in our classes is also simply good for the soul and our mental health. Whenever these points are made about music, most people nod in agreement. Yes, we love music. Music is so important. Yes, music. It's time our district truly focuses on music. Last week during our Welcome Back kickoff, Dr. Jenkins said that the district would be focusing on the arts. Our Summer Arts Academy was a great first step in putting focus on arts in MMSD. Summer Arts Academy can only go so far in terms of reaching our students. We should also be putting our focus on our music offerings throughout the school year that every elementary and middle school student interacts with on a weekly basis. At the middle school level, our performing classes across the district have seen major cuts. Some schools have totally cut performance groups, while others have put theirs on the back burner. Our music teachers in MMSD are faced with small allocations, forcing many to travel to multiple schools to reach a full-time position. It is nearly impossible to be a full-time music teacher in MMSD and only be allocated to one school. This can make it difficult for teachers to add to their class community through after-school groups and their professional community with so much time split between buildings. This doesn't have to be the case if we put our focus and efforts towards a successful music education experience for students. In the band world, it starts with having interventions with individualized or small group lessons outside the main band class. It also happens by removing the class size requirement so that 6th grade beginning band classes can have homogeneous instrumentation rather than every instrument type at once. This would be the equivalent of teaching and learning just Spanish rather than 6 languages at once. A more comprehensive plan called the District Arts Strategic Plan that was written with input from MMSD music teachers of all grade levels and disciplines has already been introduced to district administration and is awaiting action and implementation. This is not new thinking. It's being done successfully all over the state and Dane County, just not here in MMSD. We need to put focus and funding towards performance music classes during the school year, give adequate allocation to attract and retain quality music teachers, and realize and capitalize on what music can do for our literacy goals as a district. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Carola Gaines.
Good evening. Hello, my name is Carla Gaines, and I am here and want to thank you all for being here tonight. And I'm here to express my support for the administration and to ensure that our schools have the proper support for our scholars, our staff, and our resilient families. I am supportive of this administration because this administration has been establishing innovative ideas to recruit teachers and staff in this unprecedented times and during the teacher shortage across the United States. Creating a more diverse staff, which can have an impact on our students of color, can begin to resonate in their minds that they too can be great, that they too can become teachers, that they too can be involved in this profession and build their self-esteem. I've had 3 children graduate from Madison Metropolitan School District. That one went on to be in an HBCU because she needed that self-esteem of having teachers to see and professors that see that that look like them, and so that they can again build that and say, yes, I can. Also, I would like to support this administration in regards to investment in the new curriculum of materials for our elementary reading, for our children to have access to update knowledge and their learning strategies. Also, to work with teachers trained on using these skills and to build current practices for our teachers to better support the work that they're doing with our students. Also, the district is really working. Matter of fact, I rode around the other day looking at a school and noticed the new playground equipment and was very excited to see that. And also the investment in our new athletic facilities, which will make our students not only academic successful, mentally successful, and also create that piece of building their athletic and academic resources as they move on to, especially those that are in high school, as they move on to more to participate in college or in other higher education. Also, Dr. Jenkins' collaboration with our community has definitely put forth efforts in that, helped our with mental health and wellness and welcoming approaches towards our district. As we know, this pandemic has put a stress not only on families, on teachers, and the entire staff. So just helping the schools thrive in those areas. Also, the ongoing expansion of our full day 4K is a timely investment in making sure all of our diverse community of families can help their students have a great start in their educational development. The investment in Village Builders position has also been a support to our district and to diversify the staff. And one of the other most important things, really, as we talk about the foundation of not only our country, but where we are, it's important to be intentional about becoming and continue to become an anti-racist district, and showing our community the district is authentic about standing up for our students, our most marginalized students, and to support them in these efforts of diversity, equity, inclusion. And the most important piece also is belonging. Do we feel belonged and in these spaces? Really, I see you. And so I just want to thank the board for hearing me on tonight in my support of the administration of Dr. Carlton Jenkins. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kirby Mack.
We can't hear you.
You're muted.
Good evening again. My name is Kirby Mack, and I serve as Vice President of Blacks for Political and Social Action of Dane County. I have two purposes for being here this evening. My first purpose is to acknowledge and applaud the work of Dr. Carlton Jenkins and his staff. Dr. Jenkins has demonstrated an exceptional knowledge of his job. His management and supervision of his staff is beyond reproach, and he continues to exhibit outstanding leadership in our community. We believe he has performed in an exemplary manner under the grave conditions and provocations he faced upon his arrival and during his tenure. At your most recent meeting of August 15th, several of our members, and again, Ms. Gaines today, and community members came before you to lay out initiatives he has successfully implemented and those he has proposed. BPSA both applauds and supports those programs and initiatives as articulated. The many challenges of COVID-19, which Dr. Jenkins successfully managed, should be acknowledged and lauded. Because he stood his ground and put our children first, we will forever be grateful. We are most appreciative of the historic achievement he accomplished, which was the awesome task of doing what his predecessors neither never could or never would do, and that's to truly diversify central office. On a larger scale, Dr. Jenkins and his HR staff has accomplished an outstanding feat to fairly deliver services and programs to the people in this community as required by Title VI and 7 of the Civil Rights Act. While America itself faces catastrophic teacher shortages, we praise Dr. Jenkins and on the number of returnees and recent hires of 400 new teachers and staff. My second reason for being here is to express our disappointment and concern with your president and vice president regarding their delay and or refusal to meet with our organization. BPSA is comprised of Black leaders in Dane County. Our membership consists of numerous pastors and ministers, several notable attorneys, numerous past and current city, county, state, and even university officials. Some members are former employees of the district. We have children and grandchildren who are enrolled in every level of this district. I take the time to explain who we are because both our secretary, Mrs. Sanders, and I for months have attempted on 8 occasions 4 messages to you both, in totality 8 on behalf of Black leaders to meet with you both. Not until late Friday did Ali finally return our invitation. For that, we thank you, Ali. We have yet to hear from you, Maya. For Black leaders to have to request 8 times to garner a response from people in your position, I find insulting and unbelievable. We implore you to do better. We too pay healthy taxes, we vote. We have children and grandchildren, as I mentioned earlier, in this district and deserve for you to honor our requests when asked. Thank you for your time and attention and have a good evening.
Thank you. Next is Kathy Klein.
Hi. I'm speaking in support of item 14.1, the hourly wage vote for educational assistants and special education assistants for all of the reasons that people here have said already. But as a parent of a child with an IEP, special education assistants are key. Nothing works without special education assistants. And I've worked with many different professionals, and they really deserve to be paid as much as our district can afford. The $5 an hour increase is what needs to happen, and it needs to be figured out. The people who do these jobs work so incredibly hard and do everything for our kids. And I have to say too that it's not just a matter of kids with IEPs. Having educational assistants and special education assistants being able to do the best that they can and feel like they're being compensated fairly means that everybody, all of our scholars, are getting the best educational experience possible, because when special education assistants aren't around to help things go smoothly, everybody is experiencing a difficult educational experience. And even though these professionals don't participate in our IEP meetings, they are key to implementing our children's IEPs and ensuring FAPE. I also wanted to speak in support of item 10.13, the program for inclusion and neurodiversity education. I'm actually the parent of a former MMSD scholar with an IEP. I pulled him out last year of MMSD because he's autistic, and there just isn't the level of understanding currently among all school staff to be able to meet his needs. He's doing fine now, but I'm speaking in behalf of kids who are still within MMSD, who are neurodiverse. If my kid had had a program like Pines at his schools, then he would most likely still be at school at MMSD. So I would like that for other kids. And also I'd like to suggest that the board consider allowing parents of neurodiverse children, scholars at MMSD who are not in the schools that you're proposing to have the Pines program, to allow internal transfers for those families, because this program could really mean a lot for their scholars. And if they don't happen to be going to Franklin, Randall, Hamilton, Spring Harbor, or West, those families might really want to be able to move their scholars into this program. Thanks.
Thank you. Next is Anna Hauser.
Hi, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight, and I thank you all for all of the work that you do. I appreciate you greatly, and I know that your job isn't made any easier by the lack of funding for our schools by both the state and the federal government. I'm asked a lot about what this people will say to me often. I have 3 children with disabilities. I don't know how you do it. And the reality is that I don't do it without help. The first thing I'd like to speak to you tonight about is the SEAs and their pay raise for the cost of living adjustment and the $5 an hour. Without SEAs, the best IEP, the best policy, the best teachers, the best specialists, they don't mean enough. They're wonderful people, but they're not everywhere. The SEAs are literally the bread and butter. They're what makes sure that our students' needs are met. We made a decision this year that breaks my heart. My child was supposed to have his senior year in MMSD, and his needs couldn't be met. The trauma over the last several years of not having the proper staffing and having our schools turned into effectively babysitting places for our students with disabilities made it that we couldn't trust that our children were safe. We couldn't trust that their educational needs were being met. And that's not fair. It's not fair to the staff. It's not fair to the students. And it isn't what our schools are meant for. They're meant for better. They're meant for greater, and they can be better. And I know we all want that for our students. But what are we supposed to do when we can't keep people in the building, when we don't have that consistency to meet those needs? When you have people with the turnover constantly, you can't build that reliability. When you have an SEA who's doing the job of 3 people, they can't meet those needs. You can have the best things ever, but you can't meet the needs. And then we end up with this problem where we're talking about this cost and like, does it fit into our budget? But the reality of it is that we can't afford not to meet the needs of our students. We can't afford to be a school that does that. And we can't afford, like, from a just a purely, like, even if we skirt the moral part and go to the literal point as a district from a financial standpoint, you can't afford all of the litigation that's going to come from unmet IEPs. Those are contracts you're legally bound to fulfill. And if you can't fulfill them, people are going to sue, and it's going to be a problem. I mean, there are just so many problems with this, and it breaks my heart. And I know we can do better. Our staff deserve better. Our students deserve better. I no longer am a parent of an MMSD student because I can't trust that my child is safe. And that's terrifying. Second thing I want to speak to you tonight about is in support of the PINE program, because like Kathy, who spoke before me, I had an MMSD student who's autistic, who has ADHD, and I ended up pulling them 3 years ago because of the trauma, the lack of informed people who could truly understand their neurodiversity. They couldn't meet their needs. And my child was in absolute chaos because day after day after day, because they aren't physically nonverbal, because they look normal to somebody, because somebody doesn't have the proper tools, they treated them as though if they just pushed them harder, they'd be less autistic. If they just should push them harder, they wouldn't have ADHD. And that just isn't the case. We need to support our students. And it's not just students with disabilities. When we support our students with disabilities, when we support our students with neurodivergence, when we put all these programs into place with all these supports, we meet all of the needs of all of our students, and we show them that every student who walks into the building matters. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Martha Saravo.
Hi, thank you, board members. I hope that you not only heard all of the parents that just showed up, but I truly hope you felt everything that they had to say. There's words from parents, you have the things that affect their students directly is incredibly powerful, and is vulnerable to come into a place like this and actually express every single one of those thoughts. The two things I wanted to speak on tonight are in support of Pine. Pine program is something I've been there from the beginning of. I helped see that it was proposed to our district. I got to see which schools that it got into. And now luckily, my daughter is at one of the schools where it's being implemented. And I've heard directly from our educators on what it meant to them. And because it means something to them, I know that it's going to resonate on our students. And that's exactly what we want. I've actually never been honored to be part of an educational development program that got started for a massive amount of our educators in a way that says, this is what it means to do better. We want to come back better from COVID. We don't want to just come back to what we had before. Pine is really a way to do that. And it's a way to help that bridge that gap that we have between general education and our special education. Not just between our kiddos in the classroom, because we all know that it's more about the physical placement. It's all about the understanding that goes on behind the scenes and the work that it takes to support all our students collectively. The second item I wanted to speak on is raises for our SEAs. I have shown up to MTI rallies because our SEAs show up every day for our kids. I wish that we could have SEAs in more rooms whenever we talk about special education and IEP purposes. We don't see them in enough places, and we mitigate their wage to the highest degree too many times. MMSD should be utilizing their strengths, utilizing their expertise, and including them in more places than we do. They are the ones that have the direct effect on so many of our students, and yet we don't hear their voices in enough places. Just a final thought though, the things that you guys decide to fund shows our students, our teachers, and our community what you value. Thank you.
Thank you. Our final online speaker is Tiffany Glass.
Hi. I want to thank the members of the board for all of their time and everyone here for participating in the meeting tonight. I'm the parent of a MMSD student who's autistic. He also has Down syndrome. He has multiple disabilities and high support needs. He can't speak. He relies on a electronic augmentative and alternative communication device, or AAC, in order to communicate. And he also needs AAC services in order to communicate. He depends on skilled help for all of these things, skilled help for access to the curriculum, skilled help for all bathroom and hygiene. He requires skilled help for the ability to eat safely during the school day because he has developmental feeding issues. He's a middle schooler. In 5 years, he's had to change schools within the Madison area 5 times. Because he's had an experience that the children of some of the other people here who are speaking have had the experience of discovering that the school just isn't able to accommodate the needs of students with disabilities, especially students with advanced disabilities and high supports needs. So he has had to move to 5 different schools in 5 years. Each year we will start a school. We will discover the school is unable to implement the IEP, or there are circumstances for him at the school that are not compatible with safety or FAPE. we try so hard to fix the problems. We discover the problems can't be fixed, and it causes a crisis for the school team and also for our families. So we move to a different school. The causes of this are so complicated. MMSD does have so many challenges in figuring out how to meet the needs of these students. Isn't straightforward, but there are 2 items on the agenda tonight that give me hope that we can turn this around. The first is the agenda item for the PINE program expansion. The PINE program expansion will help to change school culture and change district culture, to help us understand how to be anti-ableist, to help us address systemic ableism in the district, which is so pernicious and does require special skills and special knowledge to address. So I really think expanding the PINE program will be critical in making it possible for autistic students and students with advanced disabilities to be able to participate in school in MMSD. The second item on the agenda that I think will help us begin to address some of these systemic problems is the hourly wage increase for educational assistants and especially special education assistants. As I described, SEAs are critical for giving our son access to an education. And when those SEAs are living with life instability, which is inevitably a result of being paid inadequate wages, that directly results to dangerous situations and instability in the supports and the educational experiences for our students. So I'm very hopeful that we as a district, despite the very challenging funding climate, that we can find a way to expand the PINE program and to continue expanding the PINE program until we can see the day when no autistic or disabled children are forced to leave school because accommodations can't be provided for them. Thank you.
Andrea Misserly.
All right. Ooh. Okay. First, I just want to say that we don't have a teaching shortage. There's a teacher mass exodus out of education. In Dane County, we have lots of qualified teachers who do not want to be in our schools anymore. I'm here to speak though about our SEA staff. This is so loud. Receiving the $5 raise, and it needs to be at least $5. That our number one priority should be staffing schools who directly work with our students. These positions that work and have the impact with our students, it benefits our students the best. When I look at this HR report tonight, there was not one hourly position listed as a new hire. This is scary to me. Our schools don't just function with teachers and principals. We need all school staff to be filled and feel valued and as part of our community. It's communities that make our schools run, and it's the community within the school, not just the teachers. We start school Thursday in 3 days. From the allocation in April that got sent out, the district cut 43 SEA jobs. That's almost an SEA at every school. In the last 2 years, there have been over 20 non-union professional administration jobs that have increased. Okay, budgets are our priorities. We need our ESEAs. If we need a spot, we need to find the money, a spot to do it. We need to cut. Last year, there were 60 unfilled central office positions. They're not directly working with our students, having that impact. I suggest we pull 30 of those positions who don't directly work with our students and impact them The same as our staff inside the schools to attract and retain our hourly staff. They need it. They deserve it. They deserve to be making that living wage. Lastly, I want to talk about agreement. About 8 years ago, the school board administration and MTI had a big talk about Madison and what is equitable with employees. We wanted to put actions forth. So our ESEA unit pays less towards their health care because we said it's not fair. Okay, we said equitable doesn't mean equal for all. They shouldn't have to pay more because they don't make as much money. The teachers and administration and everyone else can afford to, and they deserve to. That's why we don't compare to other Dane County schools, because we said we were going to lead it, and we need to continue to lead that work throughout it. I encourage, just because we're elevating wages doesn't mean we should take away or look at other compensations. I encourage tonight that you make an amendment and make it $5 and vote to support our ESEA unit for the full cost of living. Thank you.
Jason Penkoff.
Good evening, and thank you for hearing me today. My name is Jason Penikoff, and I have been a teacher for 18 years and an MMSD for 9. I'm currently the teacher at Project Search, a program that helps scholars with new abilities learn job skills and find employment at the UW and VA hospitals. I invite everyone on the board to please come to Project Search. It is truly a special place and some place that I feel blessed and honored and grateful to work at every single day. Every one of my years as a special ed teacher, my most important coworker would be the SEA that would be assigned to me. These professionals would be my closest colleagues, the ones I would collaborate with the most deeply, and the ones I would rely the most on. I would not be here today as a teacher without all of the SEAs that have worked with me, who have been with me at my lowest and at my highest. One of the greatest things about being a teacher at Project Search is seeing the scholars start a paid employment at the hospitals. However, at the same time, it fills me with sadness that the scholars will have a higher starting wage than the staff that helped them get there. I ask you to please raise these truly essential workers' wages by $5 an hour. I thank you for your time.
Tomara Rodriguez.
Hello, I'm Joma Rodriguez, a student from Project Search. I'm talking about a special AD assistant named Michelle. Michelle, who I adore, admire, and remember with much affection, is a great warrior who made my dreams come true into reality. Although she's not my blood, she's part of my family. She is a golden lady, a brave and hardworking woman who never gave up and gave the best of herself. A unique, respectable woman who delivers what she promises and does not grow until she fulfills her goal. She's a lovely person who has helped me so much since September last year. Since I saw her the first time, her light shined on me and enlightened me. I have witnessed her hard work and commitment, always giving the best of herself. Michelle's and all the special ED assistants work hard every day so that young people like me with special needs can get jobs and have a decent, successful future. And I will be forever be grateful to Michelle and all these special ED assistants because thanks to their effort and hard work, I am hired at the Veterans Hospital, and people with special needs are successful. I witness how she and they are always providing support in different areas, in different communities, in different schools. Michelle and the project search assistants are a key example of perseverance, of effort, of passion, of incredible work as they go out of their way to make sure we have a secure job. She makes hard things go easier, and there's nothing impossible for her to work on. Sometimes she skips lunch to take care of business. It's like Michelle will never rest. An incredibly amazing job that has been going on for 14 years makes Michelle a majestic quality, hardworking assistant who deserves the respect, merit, and recognition for her efforts, for her passion to her career, for the love and dedication she gives every day at work and in real life. Just like the fellow special ed assistants who gave their heart in their work. Her spirit is full of sweet joy, party tunes. Her bright and reverent humbleness fills the world with rainbows, gardens, and radiance. To my own of the heart and to all the special ed assistants who strive and inspire, thank you, and never stop grinding because you are the reason that wonder exists. Thank you for helping us with students with disabilities to make us a better place. Thank you.
Michelle?
Ooh, that's hard to follow. I am Michelle, who Jomar spoke about. My name is Michelle Urshan, an SEA at Project Search, going on my 15th year. I could go on and on and on about how awesome Jomar and Jason are also. They're just amazing and inspiring and make such a difference for everyone. We're all part of the MMSD family, and it's all about love and standing for the best for everyone, as Mike Jones so beautifully shared recently in the staff Welcome Back to School presentation. It's about being a family, working together, and caring most for those who are most vulnerable. Jomar talks about how Jason and I saw his sparkle and helped make his dream come true. He believed in us, and we believed in him, and together we all helped make the dream come true. Our program makes a life-changing difference, preparing students with special needs for a career and to shine as their own radiant light in this world. We support them in obtaining meaningful employment and contributing to our community as sparkling starlights, as Jomar would say. Dr. Jenkins, you recently attended the Project Search graduation, and I thank you for being there and for reaching out with love to the amazing graduates. I also thank you for taking the time for me and assuring me that you would not forget me. I took that to heart and it touched me deeply. For far too long, especially regarding pay equity, the SEAs, along with the other lowest paid employees, have been forgotten. I'm here to ask for this to change now and for you to work together and care for the most vulnerable employees and pass the $5 per hour pay increase. We've lost far too many phenomenal team members, and many are holding on to this thread of hope for this pay increase so they can afford to stay. We need to know now that we won't be the next person homeless because we simply can't pay our rent with the poverty wages we receive working yet full-time for MMSD. As SEAs, we give our hearts to caring for and educating the most vulnerable members of our MMSD family. We walk side by side with them daily on their journey, doing whatever it takes to support their optimal success and their dreams to come true. You've heard Jomar share from his heart at the recent Welcome Back to School presentation and tonight. I'm all the better person because of Jomar. We are family. We share a journey together, a journey beyond education and employment, a journey of life, a journey of sharing. I see you, Jomar, my shining star. I see your light even when you feel low. I believe in you. I believe in your dreams and will do everything in my power to help you reach those dreams. I'm with you on this journey and I won't forget you. I am encouraged and tremendously grateful to the members of this board and teachers, staff, students, community members, and you, Dr. Jenkins, who I've heard speaking up and letting us know that you will not forget us. And you are on this journey with us to see our dream of pay equity become a reality. We need the $5 pay raise now so we can keep giving our best to the most vulnerable members of our MMSD family and keep supporting them in their best. As I shared the first time I spoke here, Gandhi said, the true measure of any society can be found in how it treats its most vulnerable members. What are your values, MMSD? I'm asking MMSD to show your true measure, your true values by placing priority on the most vulnerable students and those who support, educate, care, and love them. Thank you for not forgetting us.
Mark Wirtz? Yes.
All right, quick check here on technical feeling thought. Zoom, thumbs up if you can hear me. Zoom? I got a thumbs up there, thank you. Staff, I know you can see me. Families, kids at home, some families doing 2-3 jobs, like a lot of staff members. Staff members here, you can see me, you can see my devotion, my love, my passion. Doesn't seem to matter though that staff, family, and kids see, hear, and feel each other. What matters is, can you hear families, kids, and staff telling you what we need? We can do great things if you listen to us. Can you see the low numbers of new hires? Can you see the high numbers of people quitting, the low numbers of subs? Can you feel the pain you are causing? Kids, staff, and families, can you feel that? 4.7 living wage, $5 cost of living. Feel it, see it, hear it. It can be done. Milwaukee did it. Surrounding districts did it. Feel our pain. Help us. See our pain, hear our pain. This phrase, leaning forward together, bull crap. I am not together with anybody, and I cannot lean forward with anybody that is standing on the backs of kids and staff. Give us a living wage, give us respect, 4.7, $5.
Jennifer Rachi?
I have silently been listening to meetings over the summer, and I am pleased that most of you are understanding the need for a $5 raise for our SEA and EA staff. I'm disappointed, though, that here we are tonight, days before school starts, with only a 3% raise. And for me, that means 44 cents. With my 10-year, I'll be starting my 10th year as an SEA here in the district. That still leaves me below $19 an hour. And yes, I have great benefits, but so do a lot of other businesses like Costco, just to name one. Businesses that are desperate for workers, that are willing to pay. But here I am. I'm still here. I'm here because I am personally invested in special education. I have a 15-year-old son with a severe disability. There's no more time to waste. MMSD needs to do everything in their power to retain us. No doubt this is going to be our most challenging year yet. The shortages in special ed are frightening. That's the best word I could come up, frightening. Memorial alone is short 6 SEA staff. East is short 6 SEAs and 6 special ed teachers. And I mentioned the special ed teachers, which there are many shortages too, and that falls on the back of the SEAs, that we have more responsibility, more kids that we need to service. And that might be a safety issue because we have too many kids we're supposed to be servicing because there are no special ed teachers. This means requiring even more of the staff that we have, the staff that is showing up. This means SEAs working with more students, and it means new hire SEAs working with little training from other staff that is overwhelmed. We need to retain every staff member, every single SEA that shows up, that signed up for another year. We need to retain every new hire and attract more that are going to other districts that are prioritizing their staff. New SEAs are onboarding in less than ideal circumstances. Our welcome back messages of last week emphasize that we are here for all our scholars. We are educational support professionals. We support our most vulnerable and challenging scholars. We support the teachers so they can teach. We've given the district everything you've asked for and gone above and beyond for our students. We are not asking for more than we deserve, and we deserve a $5 an hour pay increase. You cannot take for granted that staff, especially new hires, are going to stay, because this is going to be a rough ride this year. And with poor pay, I wouldn't be surprised if many quit soon after starting. So the time is now to vote for $5 an hour pay increase. Money is available for administrative staff. Find a way to find the pay for the lowest paid staff. We deserve it.
Carla Oppenheimer.
Good evening. My name is Carla Oppenheimer. I teach English at East High School, and I'm here to again ask you to approve a $5 per hour increase to the SEA salary schedule. As Jennifer just stated, at East, as of today, 3 days before, excuse me, we have children in front of us. We are short 6 special education teachers and 6 SEAs. So that means that even though our special education department is full of incredibly hardworking and thoughtful and loving people, we are fundamentally not going to be able to meet our legal obligation to support students' needs. And a lot of the resignations happened in the last few weeks. So they are probably not represented in the numbers that have been shared with the news. So the actual number of vacancies, I imagine, is higher. So we are feeling the pain right now of not having passed this increase earlier when it really mattered. So the very least that we can do is pass it now and hope that we can at least retain the people we have with us currently. Thank you.
Natasha Sullivan.
Hey, y'all. I have a brother who has lived with me since he was 18 years old. He's 23 now. He just graduated from UW-Madison and got his first job. He graduated with a poli-sci degree. He's working for Lena Taylor now. He makes more money than me. I've been teaching in this district for 10 years. I have 2 bachelor's degrees in English and secondary English education, a master's degree in education administration, a license in directors of CNI, and director of student services. And my 23-year-old brother makes more than me after 10 years. Someone over here was talking about shame. That's shameful. I had a finance teacher, and I paid attention in my finance class, who told me that no matter what a district says, you can always tell what their priorities are by their budget. And you can see where our priorities are here. Now, it's funny because I've been at the school board meetings for a while here, and I've been hearing about all these programs and literacy and curriculum that we're buying. And that cracks me up because I own a small business and I know budgets, and we're spending millions of dollars on these items. And who's gonna run them? It's like buying lobster at the restaurant and not having wait staff. It doesn't make no sense. Would you rather give the $5 to our SEAs or deal with the lawsuits when you get sued because you're not doing your duty for these children? Take it or leave it. Also, y'all are not acting like bosses. I don't know who got you scared, but we hired you to be the bosses. That's what we hired you for. And you have a community who has supported education for years. We have a long tradition of doing that, and we ain't scared. We are not scared of defending that tradition. And let me tell you, when you change that conversation, when you be a boss and go back to your lawyers and your chief financial officers, and they come to you with the can'ts. No. You tell them, you come back with will. We will. We must. And see how that conversation changes. Because let me tell you, they'll find those loopholes. Billionaires do it every day. Tax loopholes, they'll find them. They need to come with the language of can and must. And if not, trust me, your community will let you know. Because if you're not ready to be the boss, we'll find somebody who will. I'll see you at endorsements.
I move that the Board of Education approve the minutes from the regular board meeting dated April 25th, 2022.
Second.
Joanna, your advisory vote? Joanna, your advisory vote? Joanna,
or is it
not really?
Do you guys hear me, or is it not working?
we can hear you kind of.
Oh, okay. Yes, I approve.
Joanna, I am not sure why, but we're only hearing a little bit of what you're saying and you're breaking up. So I'm going to go to the rest of the board for a vote and come back to you at the next vote. If it continues to be an issue, we'll recess so that we can work it out with you, okay? All those in favor, aye. Motion carries 7-0. In the board president's announcements, the U.S. Department of Education released for public comment proposed changes to the regulation that helps elementary and secondary schools, colleges, and universities implement vital legislation. The proposed amendments will restore crucial protections for students who are victims of sexual assault, sexual harassment, and sex-based discrimination, a critical safety net for survivors that was weakened under previous regulations. The proposed regulations will advance educational equity and opportunities for women and girls across the country to ensure that every student in America from kindergarten through a doctorate degree can achieve her dreams. The 60-day comment period closes at 11:59 p.m. on September 12th, 2022. Comments may be made by accessing this website. You'll be able to find that on board docs, y'all, and clicking to submit a formal comment. Celebrating our students this week, more than 25,000 scholars will be welcomed to our wonderful schools. Our teachers, staff, principals are excited to see you, get to know you. We believe in your bright futures. Our educators strive to create learning spaces where all can thrive. Celebrating our staff, congratulations, Kari Stumpy, MMSD's Director of Health Services, on being named a recipient of the Top Nurses of 2022 Innovation Award. Joining 5 other Madison nurses, Ms. Stumpy was recognized for her efforts to innovate in the nursing field, which positively impacted the health and well-being of our community. Celebrating our community in advance of Hispanic Heritage Month, which, in advance of Hispanic Heritage Month, which takes place September 15th through October 15th. We acknowledge the significant contributions of Hispanic Americans to improve and enrich our society. We look forward to celebrating with our entire community to recognize these efforts. And I will turn it over to Dr. Carlton Jenkins for our superintendent's announcements.
Thank you so much, Chair Muldrow. Let me just say this evening, thank you, everyone who did come tonight. And it's just amazing. We're in one of those tough times in our community, but at the same time, we still have a lot to celebrate. And I would be remiss if I did not say thank you for the attention given tonight to our SEAs and the work that they do. And I have to say publicly, thank you to Michelle. And I won't forget you. I won't ever forget you. I saw what you did at Project CERT and Jason, what he's doing. And Jamar, I would like to take this opportunity to share the words of Jamar at our staff opening, because I think they were so profound. I shared them with some of my colleagues, and this is why we do what we do. And this is why you do what you do. And yes, this board is working very hard to reflect our values. We're working through some tough stuff. As we have been given a very regressive budget by our state, but we're working, and this board is working hard. And I stand by them, and I'm happy to be here to work with them to make sure we see our path forward. So at this time, let me go with the words from Jamar. Coming up, Jamar. Thank you again. I have not stopped thinking about what you shared.
Hello, my name is Jomar Pavon Rodriguez, and I graduated from West High School in 2021, and I completed Project Search program 2 weeks ago. I would like to tell you my story about MMSD and all the wonderful teachers who helped and challenged me to be who I am today, a better person. I first came to West High my junior year from a little town named Las Piedras, Puerto Rico. And I felt nervous and really scared at first because English isn't my first language. But Mr. Mefford was a teacher that saw my potential and he believed in me. He is just one of the many absolutely wonderful staff who saw the light in me. Then the pandemic happened and I had some serious mental health struggles. And I was at my lowest. My case manager, Sam Colner, and his team connect me to prior paths and help me find mental health services that help me rise up from my lowest. Sam and his team helped me feel successful in my classes with accommodations and language help. He also suggested that I try Project Search, which I have never heard of before. With his suggestion, I applied and was accepted into Project Search. At Project Search, I did an internship at the VA hospital and learned many job and social skills and opportunities. The staff there, but especially Jason Pentecoff and Michelle Urshin, supported me to find my strength and my confidence. What I really loved the most about Project Search was the fact that we all learned many incredible, amazing things from all the other students. This makes me feel really grateful, emotional, and proud to be in Project Search. I also really appreciate that Project Search gave the students the skills to be independent and totally successful. I now have a job in the education department of the VA hospital, where I help with new employee orientation, make copies, do database updates, scanning, organize files, do a mail run, and make deliveries. The staff there saw my light and kept standards high while also seeing me for who I am. They taught me that I can do hard things and nothing is impossible. I challenge all of you incredible teachers, leaders, and staff to look for their sparkle in each of your students. I am here today because people like you saw the sparkle in me and supported, cared, and loved me in my lowest and highest moment. Please do that for your scholars this upcoming year. Keep expectations high and help them reach their beautiful dreams. My story isn't over, but at this moment, because of people like you, I am living my dream to my fullest, and my starlight is shining bright. Thank you for all you do.
And I share that to remind all of us of what should be our North Star. Because Jamara, he said it, he didn't get there alone. He got there with his support. Michelle, we appreciate you. Jason, we appreciate you. And we have people like that throughout the district. We here on this side over here, administration and the board are wrestling as we continue to try to have our budget reflects our values. But I tell you, it is not without a fight when we know that at a legislative level, we need that support. It's not just local. But we're going to continue to work as the board has charged. This board has charged not to stop. We made some significant investments. I appreciate you saying that part about the benefits, because we made that commitment, yes, 8 years ago, and we still hold it today, not just in comparison to everyone else. It's because this district, this community values our people. We still have some tough work to go. As you look around the districts, you're going to see many playgrounds that have gone in, besides historic investments by this board in our curricular. As we heard during the pandemic, a number of teachers say, hey, we need this, we need this. You've been heard, but I will tell you, it is not easy, but we are so excited about everyone coming back and looking forward to going into this year. We still have some decisions to make. And I'll just tell you, 3 days from now, with whatever we have, we're going forward, and we will go forward together. But we do need you, and we all will be in this together. Please know that. And I just want to say thank you. I am so excited about this 22-23 academic year. Thank you. Thank you, Board Chair.
Thank you, thank you, Superintendent Dr. Jenkins. Reports on items that proceeded through our instruction work group held on August 15th, 2022. Board Member Castro.
Thank you. On August 15th, we held the instruction work group. We had an update on health services and our mitigation strategies regarding COVID-19, including masking expectations for the school year, and our health team continuing to review relevant COVID transmission metrics. We followed that up with a preliminary data dive into metrics regarding reading implementation and climate and culture across schools. We had a brief update on our process to recalibrate the strategic framework and some clarification on how that ties in with the academic plan. And then finally, we had an overview of assessments and our assessment strategy for the coming school year. Our next meeting will be held, let's see here. Oh, it's right here in front of me. Our next meeting will be held as September 6th, where we will again have a wellness check to review relevant COVID data. We will talk about how we have planned to launch the school year, day one readiness, and climate and culture, and then we will have a conversation about co-curriculars, including the arts, and an overview of what our high schools and middle schools are doing regarding cell phones and other personal devices. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Castro. Reports on items that proceeded through the operation work group held on August 8th. Board Member Gomez-Schmidt.
Thank you, President Muldrow. At the August 8th meeting, we discussed the hourly rate wage restructuring for education assistants. There was an additional special meeting workshop on August 22nd on this topic, and we'll be voting on the proposal tonight to invest the 1.4 million identified in our budget. Just to clarify for everybody that Dr. Jenkins has also proposed a special meeting in September. Also on the agenda on August 8th was a status update from Human Resources on district vacancies and hiring from Tracy Carradine and her team, an overview of school safety from our co-directors Gina Aguglia and Cedric Morris, a review of the extensive work on summer maintenance projects from Cedric Hodo and his team. We also discussed two policies that night, the wellness policy and the internal transfer policy. The wellness policy will return to the operations work group on September 12th based on additional work that was still needed on that policy. Tonight, we will be voting on the internal transfer policy. The next operations work group will be held on Monday, September 12th. And topics on the agenda right now are the referendum construction update, cash flow borrowing for the 2022-23 school year, and potentially three policies: the wellness policy that I mentioned, policy 1301 proposed policies, and potentially a first initial discussion on policy 4403, possession of personal electronic devices, or our cell phone policy. And that's it.
Thank you, Board Member Gomez-Schmidt. There are no action items that proceeded through the instruction work group held on August 15th. We move now to the internal action items that proceeded through the operation work group held on August 8th, 2022.
We had no action items.
Board Member Gomez-Schmidt, the internal transfer policy. Do you want to read the motion for that policy? Thank you.
Pull it up. I don't actually see a motion attached to this, so I'm going to turn this over to Sherry to give us a little bit more background and explanation. I think it was inadvertently left out. Oops.
It appears that the motion was inadvertently left off when this was provided for public notice. The motion would be, I move to approve the internal transfer policy 4023 in accord with the documents prepared for this meeting.
Board Member Gomez-Schmidt, do you want to restate the motion as stated by Sherry?
I can try. Could you repeat that one more time?
I move to approve the internal transfer policy 4023 in accordance with the documents prepared for this meeting.
Okay, I move to approve the internal transfer policy 4023 in accordance with the documents prepared for this meeting.
Second, Ali Muldrow. Any discussion? Board Member Vandermeulen.
Just briefly, I know it mentions DLI. Does this change our policy at all in accepting special ed students for internal transfer?
No, this policy actually was updated for the primary reason that it was not clear in the former policy that high school students who transferred or moved addresses in the middle of a school year could make a decision. Families could decide to leave them at the school that they were already attending, or they could allow and decide that it's best for their family to have the student transfer to the new attendance area. But it did not cover specifically any internal transfer policy with regard to special ed students outside of whether or not the families were going to decide whether or not they should move.
Board Member Vandermeulen, are you satisfied with the explanation from General Counsel?
I am. Thank you. And thank you, General Counsel.
Further discussion? Board Member Nichols and then Board Member Gomez-Schmidt.
Yeah, I'll generally just say that I am happy to see the updated language in this internal transfer policy, specifically the new language that reads effective with the 22-23 enrollment period. Students currently enrolled and attending 9th through 12th grade who move to a different attendance area within the district may remain at their currently enrolled school for the remainder of their high school years. They will be responsible for providing their own transportation and are subject to revocation. The new language, as I understand it, makes it more of an automatic process instead of families every year having to reapply or request for the internal transfer. So I think that's a family-friendly move that's beneficial in this policy update. Thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking to that, Board Member Nichols. Board Member Gomez-Schmidt.
Yeah, my question is just is more of a general, as we continue to go through and update policies, one of the things we've talked about is where the procedures are going to live. And this policy takes out some procedures that have some reference to deadlines and things like that. Is where will families be able to find the guidance that more specifically on anything that sort of comes out of the procedure and will live somewhere else?
So with regard specifically to this policy, the procedure is actually placed on the enrollment website. Dr. Bendata did make sure that before this came to the board, that they had taken those procedures and placed them on their not internal, but external enrollment website. Moving forward, it is our hope that all of the policies will be accompanied by clear procedures as we work through revamping our policies and making it clearer to the public what procedures are related to which policies. And we are going to be working to get that all included in board docs.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Joanna, your advisory vote?
I approve.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 7-0. I move that the Board of Education adopt and approve all of the motions set forth in section 10 of the electronic agenda prepared for the regular board meeting, school board meeting, exactly as said motions are written. By voting affirmatively on this motion, a board member expresses his, her, or their affirmative vote on each motion consolidated hereby, subject to any express separations that have been made by any member of the school board.
Second.
Any discussion? Board Member Simpkin. Absolutely.
Can I make a comment without a separation?
Absolutely.
I want to thank the administration and the board for considering both SAIL and the Pine program tonight. Both of those will help our students with disabilities.
Thank you so much for speaking to that, Board Member Vandermeulen. Board Member Nichols.
I too would like to make a comment without separation.
Okay.
I am thrilled to see the partnership with Dear Diary, which is 10.10, and the HER program specifically focused on our middle school female students of color. I am ecstatic about the work that was done for West Sale. Thank you. Just really super appreciative of hearing the board's concerns as well as parent feedback a couple of months ago. So I'm just really happy to see a consent item tonight related to a build out to include West Sale at the Hoyt building when it becomes Capitol High, as well as the work that was done to find a new alternative space for the West Sale program for this school year, instead of them having to go all the way out by Westtown. That is thrilling. I'm not pulling the Pine consent 10.13 because I support it and had an opportunity to meet with Ray Mendez, one of our parents, earlier this week. Really happy to see that program expanding, and I support that. And then overall, just say related to incredible partnerships that this district maintains. I want to thank our continued work with Centro Hispano, with the Juventud en Escalera program, Urban League for Schools of Hope Middle School, and our Start College Now programming with Madison College and others. So no separations for me, but I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking to that, Board Member Nichols. Any further discussion? Board Member Gomez Schmidt. So I'm sorry, you separated? (10.7) and 10.15. And Board Member Gomez Schmidt, I'm curious how you want to ask questions or learn more about Pine without separating it. Oh, okay. Thank you. Any further discussions? Johanna, your advisory vote.
I approve.
Thanks, Johanna. All those in favor? Aye. Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. I move I move that the Board of Education approve an expenditure in the amount of $457,126 for the purchase of Achieve 3000 supplemental instructional resources, universal screener used in support of our students and staff using the fiscal year 2023 curriculum and instruction budget. Second, Board Member Gomez Schmidt. Any conversation? Board Member Gomez Schmidt.
Yeah, thank you. I pulled this one from the consent agenda just to get a little bit more information about it. We've talked a lot about Achieve 3000 since we started using it, and it looks like we're discontinuing pieces, continuing pieces. And I'm very curious how this fits in with, we talked about assessment a couple meetings ago. Very curious about how this fits in with FastBridge, which is also, as I understand it, an instructional piece that we have in place, and how it fits with other grade level assessments that we have going on. And I'm guessing that goes to.
Yes.
Oh, couldn't see you down there, Cindy.
I was hiding. Just kidding. So FastBridge right now, we're using at the elementary level. We are not using FastBridge at the middle school or the high school level. For Achieve 3000, in terms of as an assessment, we are using it as our literacy screener at middle school and high school. In addition to that, we are using it as a resource at middle school, most specifically in our DLI classrooms, where we are providing supplemental instructional resources in Spanish. English only classrooms are able to use it. We started to do some discontinuation of components of Achieve based on feedback we received directly from our staff at the high school level. So I worked very closely with our staff at the high school level to get their thoughts around approach for this upcoming school year. In addition to that, as you know, we are in the process of doing an RFP at the middle school level for literacy and biliteracy materials. So there is the chance that this could shift going into next year as well, which is why we started to make some shifts this year to start to use it in the places that we still had to fill some gaps, and we'll continue to make adjustments and refinements as we identify new materials at the middle school level.
Does that mean that we're discontinuing because we now have the new literacy curriculum at the K to 5 level for DLI?
Absolutely. We have Benchmark now. We also have FastBridge that we use, and now we have the Benchmark and the EL materials, and we want teachers to really be able to dig into those core resources and use them as much as possible with identifying in the future if there are gaps that we need to fill. But right now, we definitely want them to use those materials.
So as we're working through and doing the new literacy adoption at the middle school level, we also may not need this to be
Correct, both for a classroom resource and potentially for a screener as well. Yes.
And can you just explain really briefly how it gets used as a targeted use for advanced learning?
I think I might lean on my colleagues to answer that better so that I do not misspeak. And I don't know if Nancy, you want to come, or Kaylee Jackson? I'm going to phone a friend on that one.
So we have found that Achieve 3000 is an excellent resource to provide advanced learners with an opportunity to extend their learning beyond their grade level. And we also find that at the high school level, Achieve 3000 is incredibly helpful to help develop literacy and reading skills for our scholars who have an identified need in that area. So we find that it's our teachers have reported great success with it for both.
So special education at the high school level mainly, and then advanced learning at the middle school?
Special education, yes, at the high school level. Advanced learning, I'm not positive. Haley? K5.
Okay.
Sure.
Board Member Gomez Schmidt, are you satisfied with the answers you've received from the administration?
Yes, thank you.
Any further discussion? Joanna, your advisory vote.
Yes, I approve.
All those in favor, aye. Motion carries 7-0. I move that the Board of Education approve an expenditure in the amount of $45,000 for the We Start Day Care to support parenting students and their infants through Reach Dane, formerly Dane County Parent Council, using funds from the fiscal year 2023 Health Services budget. Second, Board Member Simkin, any discussion?
No, I just need to recuse myself.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Joanna, your advisory vote.
I approve.
All those in favor, aye. Any abstentions? Wait. You want to recuse? I'll say any recusals and then, yes. So the board, the motion passes 6-0. I move the Board of Education approve an expenditure in the amount of $85,500 for Pine annual membership for Franklin Elementary School, Randall Elementary School. Oh, I'm sorry. That's my bad. I move that the Board of Education approve an expenditure in the amount not to exceed $393,600 for the 2022-2023 Urban League of Greater Madison Schools of Hope Middle School Tutoring Program with funding from the fiscal year 2023 Department of Strategic Partnerships operating budget and the MSCR operating budget within the Community Services Fund. Second, Board Member Gomez Schmidt. Any discussion? Board Member Gomez Schmidt.
Yeah, I just wanted to pull this one to recognize how important I think it is to have this partnership and this tutoring at the middle school level. I think it's been a real challenge, especially last year and the year before to implement this. And a lot of it did have to move to virtual and figure out a way to connect our scholars who needed support with our volunteers. And so I guess my main question for this, and I'm not quite sure who I'm asking this question to, are we ready to go and up and running with the number of volunteers that we need? And have we identified all the scholars? Are we seeing that we need more students who need more tutoring this year?
So are you asking, do we see an increased need for tutoring this year? Are you directing that
Well,
question?
I guess I'm asking, are we ready to go with all the volunteers that we need to make this program run and be successful, just given all the challenges that there have been over the past year to make this happen? And maybe that's for Dr. Jane.
Well, I could just tell you in our planning and in our meeting, we appear to be ready to start off the year in a very strong place with the program, and we're very excited about what we have to come. We all know that we've had different challenges. Everyone's having challenges with staffing, but in our last meeting, that wasn't indicated that we were going to have challenges with the volunteers. In fact, everyone spoke about being excited about having the volunteers come back. We definitely need it.
Yeah, definitely. So if people are still interested in volunteering and finding out more about this program, how can they do that?
Yes, Leah has been a part of this in terms of, I don't know if I see her on the screen right now, in leading this project and with in this particular project, but they can just reach to us. And I think in Dr. Hicks, also with the middle schools, that associate superintendent will also play a role in this.
That's great. Well, I just want to say thank you to the Urban League of Greater Madison for being a partner in this, and I look forward to finding out more about it as we go through the school year.
Board Member Gomez Schmidt, I want to thank you for highlighting the importance of that work and the support that our middle schoolers need. Any further discussion? Johanna, your advisory vote.
I approve.
All those in favor, aye. Motion carries 7-0. We'll now hear from the City of Madison Education Committee, Board Member Nichols.
Yes, we had a meeting on August 10th. And on our agenda, we did discuss a couple of budget-related items that came forward from county board supervisors. We also provided an update of our investments through the Madison School District and discussed any pending amendments that might be worthwhile for the committee to take up. And one of the items, in full disclosure, that did garner a lot of attention and interest from the Education Committee is the idea of expanding and finding out more about driver's education for our youth in our Madison School District and surrounding communities. So we will be bringing that forward as a future topic around driver's education. We will continue at our next meeting to explore any more budget amendments that are going through the county or the city cycle. And lastly, we had an update on an initiative that's come out from the city called Parks Alive. And it was focused on 8 parks within our neighborhood resource areas. And we talked about if there could be any potential committee interest in advocating for a permanent budget line on that. We do have a regularly scheduled September meeting. However, we're also exploring a new date because there was a conflict with our co-chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the work you're doing with the City Education Committee, Board Member Nichols. Student Senate is next. Johanna, do you want to report back on what's going on with Student Senate?
So basically, we haven't had a meeting since the end of the school year, but right now we're just trying to figure out when our next meeting will be. That's all we've been working on so far.
Thank you so much for that update, Johanna. Moving right along, Board Member Vandermeulen, can you give us any updates from Madison School Community Recreation MSCR Advisory Committee?
Absolutely. Fall registration started on August 15th. As of August 26th, we have 12,026 participants that registered for community programs. Staff is continuing to recruit and hire seasonal staff to reduce our wait lists in our after-school programs. MSCR is planning for the move from the Hoyt to MSCR Central, which will occur in September, and MSCR West, which will occur in March. MSCR will be using alternative spaces for community programs this fall, including churches and community centers, and our next meeting is September 28th.
Thank you so much for that update, Board Member Vandermeulen. And lastly, we will hear from the Safety and Student Wellness Ad Hoc. Summarizing, the Safety and Wellness Ad Hoc Committee met on July 28th and on August 11th to emphasize conversations about student mental health and wellness, updates, stakeholder liaison groups, create their vision for safety and wellness, next steps and meeting dates and times possible agenda items were discussed. All right. I move that the Board of Education approve a salary schedule increase of $2 per hour for educational assistants and special education assistants as set forth in the documents prepared for this meeting. Second, for the sake of discussion. Any discussion?
Yes.
Board Member Vandermeulen?
Very simply, $2 is not acceptable for our staff, our SEAs, and our educators. I am voting for this for one reason and one reason only, because there is a path for increase that will be discussed for September 19th. So we could earn our way to $5. I do not believe this is sufficient, nor do I like that we are separated in groups. Our staff are the most valuable things we have. However, looking at the landscape of trying to get the logistics done, I would rather have people have something to start with while I do the logistics, rather than them not have it. But I want to reiterate, this does not mean my commitment to special education is less. This does not mean my commitment to education and our staff, our teachers, our food service workers, and all of our hourly wage individuals is less, because you deserve at least $5, if not more. It means that I need the paperwork to catch up with the belief. And occasionally, both in law and in politics, that has to happen. I don't like it, but I will do it for that reason. Dr. Jenkins, this is to you. I respect you. I said I trusted you on this, and I do trust you on this. But I would like a vote either on the 19th or on the final meeting in September. And I hope that there's a $5 option, because our people deserve it.
Thank you so much, Board Member Vandermeulen. Further discussion? Board Member Nichols.
Yes, thank you. In the memo attached for tonight, it does say that there will be the use of fund balance to come back with a proposal, which I'm assuming exceeds the $2 an hour increase. And I just want to give the superintendent an opportunity to speak to the memo, if he might, and then I may have a follow-up, Chair.
Absolutely. And I just want to recognize that I see Johanna's hands up. So.
Okay, I think it's pretty clear in the memo that I was given two charges in the August 22nd meeting, and that's what I stated in the memo. The first one was to look at the initial increase that we had talked about, and that's what I came back with. And then I also asked for a special meeting on the 19th to use. And in the first part, I talked about using the fund balance, even though we had caution against that. So we're looking at truly the human decency issue, as we've been discussing and we've been wrestling with. We're forced again to make a choice between what's right and what's right, given this very regressive budget that's been put forth by our Joint Finance Committee. So the second charge I was given is to come back with a recommendation with the path forward up to $5. Okay, and that's something that I said, why I asked for a special meeting on the 19th. So we can come back and truly look at giving us a path that puts us in a position where we show not only value, but also can maintain our fiscal responsibility to the district. So I appreciate this board giving just even that option for us to go back and have an opportunity to work together. Because whatever we do, we want to make sure when we talk about co-creating something, it needs to be something that we all stand for together. But that was the charge, to come back with a potential increase up to $5. So that's where we stand still today.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So my follow-up question, and I think I raised this last week at our special meeting, it's a matter of the timing.
Yes.
So if you all are going to be working on a proposal that gets us somewhere closer to $5, and that's coming in a matter of weeks, so that the budget and accounting team has time to do the calculations and, sync it all up with HR, whatever all needs to be done. I guess my wondering is, why are we voting on the $2 tonight if we know that an increased hourly wage would be coming forward in just a matter of weeks? Because and the reason I ask this, it's not a got you moment, but it's just that we had a previous budget memo that said that even if we vote tonight, by the time all the processing gets done, it would probably be like October before it was actually in the system and felt or experienced by the staff. So I guess I'm wondering, do we need to do the vote tonight, or shall we wait until we have the next proposal?
Well, I can just tell you, based on what we had the 1.4 there, based upon when we were looking at our budget that we had to address the situation. And so we came back to the first recommendation, and there was going to be a vote tonight looking at how we do our budget and giving our CFO the time to address what we had been charged to do, pretty much. And so that's what he had done financial analysis on. So that's why you were voting tonight to continue, give the $2. And then the second charge was from the board to come back with a path forward with an increase as close to or up to $5 that we could do. So that's really why we were doing that. It's at the board, the pleasure of the board, where we want to go. And I appreciate the fact that we've been having this discussion about how we can move forward collaboratively. So that's where we are, and that's what I came back with.
Okay, so based on that, I will similarly, like board member Vandermeulen, I'm willing to vote tonight on the $2 an hour increase, almost on the condition that we're coming back in a few weeks. And based on the memo, it looks like there's a recommendation that we would use some discretionary amount of fund balance as part of the path. Am I reading the fund balance part right?
Coming back, we had said a one-time use of the fund balance, but we're looking at a path that will include all up until, would include us looking at structurally how we're budgeting right now. We have some structural, if we want to just make this a reality that can be sustained.
Correct.
We're going to have to look at how we're operating right now structurally. What has happened historically and where we are right now, particularly given the lack thereof funding coming from the state, we want to be a district that can sustain itself. We're going to have to make some real structural changes. And that's the conversation and the actions, the conversation I'm going to have over the next couple of weeks of finding those buckets and how we manage, making sure what we do can be sustained. You don't want it to be an event to give something and have to take it back. So that's why I'm coming back on the 19th with some recommendation, with an analysis to say how we can do what we do.
Okay. So I'm not sure okay.
It's not
I'm not
fund
sure
balance.
are you? Okay.
I'm saying it's not just
let me-
fund balance. We're going to have to look at some structural changes because otherwise we'll be back in the same situation.
Right.
Again.
Right. And based on last week's special meeting, you all will have to run the analysis, but if we remember, I had done some math and I had looked at if we could get up to $3.50 an hour, which I'm not saying our staff aren't worth the $5. I was just trying to look at where we might pull money from. That would be pulling $1,030,630 potentially from fund balance, which Ross said was like 0.2%. So apparently you all are going to work those numbers. And that's what's coming back in September.
Yeah.
Okay. And I understand that using fund balance as like an ongoing way to do increases is not sustainable for us. And it's right. So I understand you have to look at kind of a bigger picture of restructuring for the long haul.
And if I may,
yes,
what we're talking about now, so everyone can be clear, the 1.4 is about the EAs only in a particular group that we're looking at. The recommendation that we're talking about coming back, and we gave you an illustration, our CFO had provided for you an illustration if you include all food service, security, everybody. And that was the scenario he gave you with 3.5 or up to 5. So in between us coming back now, the 19th, we're going to lay out what it would mean to go ahead and make sure that we're being all inclusive. And we're going to have serious structural items that we're gonna have to agree that we're gonna tackle going forward in order to be able to sustain what we're talking about.
Okay, I will make my final comment. So just so I'm clear of what I thought was coming back to us, and maybe you're saying this and it's just not, I'm not hearing it. What I feel like I hear you saying is that you all are going to do some analysis on kind of what it would take to restructure all the hourly positions and break that down, like what it would cost us overall to also have kind of pay equity and parity between for all of the roles.
We didn't have clerical, food service,
Yeah.
or security in there.
Correct.
Come back. That's part of the recommendation.
Yes, okay, so I appreciate that you all are going to do that level of analysis and deep, kind of the details of all of the hourly roles. And I'm thinking that when you come back, we have a exact dollar amount that we can vote on. Not just analysis, like an actual amount that we could vote on. So at least that's, I'm just stating my expectation.
Most definitely, and the CFO gave you a scenario, 3 scenarios, which is also key that everybody understand here, the deficit piece.
Yes.
If you look at here and talking about the structural deficit, what it would cost for 3.5, what it would cost for us to do $5. That's there. So when we come back, it's going to be an exact number for you to vote on in terms of how we move forward.
Right, and the impact that it would have.
Most definitely.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Thanks, Board Member Nichols. Johanna?
Okay, so I just wanted to say, whoever is unmuted in the meeting, if they can mute themselves, because I can like hear the music through the video. I don't know who it was, but there's like music playing. But I firstly wanted to start off by saying that I agree with Board Member Vandermeulen. Our staff do need the $5 increase, and I'm willing to vote for $2, and especially on behalf of the students, since I represent them, and parents as well. I feel like after hearing all the statements made today, everybody agrees that they should be given $5 increase. So the $2 increase vote that I'm going to be giving is not like my final vote. I would like to, vote for $5 in the future, because that's what our staff deserve after a teacher shortage, dealing with the pandemic, especially not making that much of a wage. Like, it's really low compared to other jobs that they can easily get if they wanted to. It's just that I really do feel like they deserve the $5. So I will be voting for the $2, but in the future, I want to vote for $5 because that's what they deserve, if not even more. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Johanna. Further discussion, and I'm going to add myself to the stack. Board Member Simpkin, Board Member Castro, Board Member Gomez-Schmidt. I'll start with you, Board Member Gomez-Schmidt, and we'll make our way around.
Okay, thank you, President Muldrow. I just wanted to also say that I'm ready to vote on this $2 increase for tonight. It uses the 1.4 million that we already have set aside. And I think, and I'm not sure if Tracy Karenine is here, but once the board votes, does that, when we start posting positions, I mean, everybody should know that there's going to be this increase. Is that correct? Or how soon does that? I understand that it takes a while to get people that increase, but what happens with posting positions that we have open?
Good evening. So we're posting all the time. So if you pass it tonight, we'll still be posting. So we'll continue to post. The posts that we have up, we'll just have to update those.
Okay, and that doesn't take long to do though.
No.
If we were to vote on that tonight.
Correct.
That's why I think it's important for us to vote on the $2 increase tonight and then hear more for the proposal from Dr. Jenkins. I just wanted to clarify again. I guess what I was expecting to come back in a couple of weeks was this information about how we would deal with the EA group in specific. And I understand that we have to talk about the longer term structural changes that will be needed. But it was just under my understanding that in the short term, we need to deal with its budget that we're going to be approving at the end of October. And then looking forward with the structural changes. Is that what you're explaining to us?
Actually, not. We are going to deal with the short term, but when I come back on the 19th, we're looking long term as well, and not just with the EA. That's why I said and listed all those other groups as well. We're going to work together and just create a path moving forward, but it's going to be one that's going to have it clearly what it costs us. And I don't want us to look at it what it costs us. I want to look at what we're investing, and our staff are critical at all levels. I tell you, food service could have shut schools down during a pandemic. They're very important. All staff, very important. And so we're just going back and we're going to wrestle with it, looking at our values and try to reflect them. And I appreciate what you have done as a board and saying over and over what you reflect, what you value. And that's what we're leading with. We're going to lean into it, understanding where you have been coming from.
Okay, the last thing I just want to clarify is that as we're talking about other hourly wage groups, some of them come from different pieces of the budget. So like the food service fund is separate, and as we know, going into this school year in particular, it's a bit unstable with the way the food service has operated over the last couple of years in the pandemic, and coming back to having to operate in a different way, and just like supply chain issues and all of that. So will that be part of the analysis coming back to us so that we understand how the funds fit together, like in the year we have ahead of us?
Yes, thank you so much for that, Board Member Gomez Smith, because others may not know that food service is different. It's different. It's historically been different. And what we're trying to address are true values. And I cannot even begin to say about how we're going to approach this, understanding the historical wrongs too that's been in this area, because it's heavily dominated by women in the field. And a lot of our budgeting towards education is very biased. And we're looking to reflect our values as we move forward. We know the challenge, but we also know the opportunities in food service. If you invest in the right program and strategy, you can too make money in food service enough so it can sustain itself. So we will not have the drain on the local, as most times you see it when you're not operationalizing food service, taking advantage of some of the things to increase participation. Again, it should be about increasing participation, and our food service program should be something our students enjoy. And so those are some of the things. We're going to come back some of those strategies laid out.
Okay, I'll be really interested in that. I think the conversation, as I look at this structural deficit and the red lines across all of these proposals, I just think we really have to figure out how things are going to shift structurally, depending on the investment that you are recommending. So I'll appreciate that information. Thank you.
Board Member Simkin, I'm sorry, Board Member Castro, then Board Member Simkin.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely looking forward to more of the proposal coming on the 19th. Appreciate the inclusion of other staff groups as well. As you know, the way the school finance structure is set up, they don't really receive much of a COLA. Even a 4% increase on $15 does not amount to much. And so I guess what I'll say is that whichever option we do choose on the 19th, it is like we aren't done. We see the red numbers. We see the structural deficit that it will create. And I think that we're going to have a conversation with the community about how we want to fund education here in the coming years. So thank you.
Board Member Simkin.
Thank you. I'm looking for clarity as well. I'm happy to hear that you're looking at all of the employee groups that are the hourly wage employees that are our lowest income. Are you planning to come back to us with a way to balance the budget that you're proposing?
Most definitely, we have to talk about balancing our budget. Right now, the position we're in, and when I continue to mention about what's right and what's right, we put in a very difficult position because we're looking at our values. and we still have to balance the budget. So that's going to cause for us to have to make some serious structural decisions. And that's the part of balancing our values, because we should live within what we are given, for sure. That's what we should do. But we have to begin to analyze to see if we're investing in the right things. And right now, I think when you're just looking at it nationally, looking at across the state, there's a serious disinvestment in education. So we're going to have to make up our minds in terms of how we're going to invest in it. We're going to have to do it together. It's not just something coming from me, from the board, our community. It's time for us to have a real conversation. And we do in Madison. We love education. We love our community has shown that over and over. But I still think on us, we want to give a path that we can do this together.
I really appreciate that. I think that when we talk about the budget being a statement of our values, it does involve making shifts and making sure that everybody who works at MMSD is able to make a livable wage. And so it does involve hard choices. I know I'm ready to make those hard choices, and I appreciate that you're going to give us an opportunity to do that. I'm also going to vote yes on the $2 with the belief that we're going to be moving forward very quickly on more money coming to our employees. So I think that.
And I just wanted to remind everyone of Nicola Alexander from the University of Minnesota, who has been beating that drum a long time. Your values are reflected in your budget.
You're there. Okay. So I want to start by saying this. I have a couple questions for our CFO, Ross, and a couple questions for our Director of HR, Tracy. And before you all answer those questions, I want to state this very clearly. This is not just about what we do, but who we are. We are a district that knows the only way we can make this a great place to be a student is by making it a great place to teach. I want to thank everyone who came to public comment tonight and demanded that we make this shift. I want you to know we are inspired by your leadership, and we urge you to keep showing up and pushing us forward. I want to also explain that I am going to vote in favor of the $2 increase. And this $2 increase is in addition to the 3% that we've already increased for all staff, which represents the largest investment in COLA this district has made in decades. I also want to say that I am deeply vested in us investing as much in staff as we can, sustainably and responsibly. And I look forward to the conversation that we're going to have on the 19th. Ross, I want to ask you specifically, when you add the $2 that we're voting on tonight to the 3% that we've already given all staff, what does that come to?
I'm sorry, can you clarify if we're talking about on a percentage basis or?
So what I'm asking is that 3% for our SEAs and our EAs, somebody said that's about 40 cents. On average, would that mean that folks will see about $2.40 increase after we vote this evening?
That's correct. So the starting wage prior to the 3% action was $15.96. The current schedule is at $16.44. So after adding $2, it would be $2 plus that variance there.
And that includes the 3%?
That's correct.
So we would then be looking on the 19th, if we wanted to get to $5, we'd be talking about an additional $2.60 investment?
Correct, for a total of roughly $5.46, 48 cents, excuse me.
And can you talk me through where the $1.4 million in funding comes from? Because one of the reasons I'm comfortable voting on this pot separately from another pot is my understanding is that we'll be pulling from two different sources. So where does the 1.4 million come from for tonight's vote?
So in June, we discussed with the board about a calculation error that was discovered at DPI in regards to our special education categorical aid program. For the last number of years, the percentage basis for which that aid is paid to the district has been prorated down based on a finite source of funding at the state level. That percentage was reported incorrectly in the 21-22 and 22-23 calculations. After I pointed this out to DPI, I revised our calculation to include the funding, which helped us accomplish our 3% budget vote in June and reserve the 1.4 million for the EA discussion we're having right now.
And we'll see that funding recur on following budgets.
We will, unless the proration returns to a lower state, which has happened in the past. I don't think that we're in danger of that in the short term, but it is something I'll be monitoring in future state budgets to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Thank you so much for that clarification, Ross. My next question around this is for Tracy. So I want to frame this question by saying we can think about whether or not we can afford to invest $5 in our SCAs and our EAs. But another way to think about this is whether or not we can afford not to. And I think one of the factors that determines whether or not we can afford not to make this significant investment in our SCAs and our EAs is to look at how many vacancies we have currently across the district in terms of those positions. So Tracy, I want to ask you, how many SCAs and EA vacancies do we currently have?
I don't have that number on the top of my head. I can look it up and get that to you, though.
Thank you. I think that'd be incredibly helpful.
Absolutely.
Tracy, in terms of what the board can do to support you in making this district attractive to folks who are applying, one of the things we've talked about a lot is how our district compares to the surrounding areas. I've said this before, I don't think anybody working in our district should be making less than $21 an hour. There's a lot of folks talking about how we stay as close to other districts as possible. What is the impact of making our district an outlier district, meaning a district that pays significantly more than districts in the surrounding areas?
Say that last part again, because.
So I'm asking basically, do you think that if we invest far more in SCAs and EAs, does that give us a competitive edge in terms of our ability to attract people to those positions?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Tracy, are there other ways that the board can help you to attract people to this district and bring people into those roles specifically beyond this increase in wage that you want to highlight or emphasize for us at this time?
I would say highlight our benefits package that we do have. That's the biggest one. I think that's a big piece that goes along with the wages, is when we do recruitment, people look at what we pay for benefits, what they have to pay for benefits. They also look at wage, but they also look, and I'll include my colleagues in that, is the trainings that we offer, the grow your own programs that we offer. Those are huge when it comes to that, the mentoring that we have for our teachers, and also to the mentoring we have for our EAs and SEAs as well. So those are huge recruitment factors, and also retention helpers that we do in this district that keeps people coming to us as we do recruitment.
Tracy, thank you so much for speaking to all of those components. And I guess my last question for you this evening is, as we're looking to fill vacancies and having this conversation about wages, I think oftentimes what gets lost in this conversation is the value of the work folks are doing for us. Can you speak a little bit to the importance of our SEAs and EAs and the value of the work that they're doing for our district?
Well, to me, I think they're part of the foundation that helps educate our scholars. I think they're just as important as the teachers are. So I'll put it that way.
Thank you so much for speaking to that. And I have no other questions or comments for this evening. Any further discussion from my fellow board members? Board Member Pearson.
Yeah, I just have two things. I want to support this $2 because, as my colleagues have mentioned, the importance of trying to get this done as soon as possible, especially as people are looking forward to working in the next couple of days. And I understand that this may take some time to get together. I guess I feel like I just really want to go as far as we can. But I just want everyone to know that I'm in support of the $2, even though I'm hesitant because I feel as though there are a lot of unanswered questions as to what is coming back to us on September 19th. My hope is that we can get to a resolution. And my question is there going to be something tangible for us to vote on at the September 19th meeting? And if not, when will it come back? Because we can't keep prolonging this decision if we are really committed to furthering the increase.
Let me say absolutely unequivocally, yes, you're gonna have a recommendation to vote on the 19th, based on the request of the board from the August 22nd meeting. The recommendation is coming forth on the 19th. We are already positioned ourselves to add additional meetings, to do whatever we need to do to be ready to have that recommendation coming to you.
You want to say something? Okay, and then my last piece is just to ask for a roll call.
I'm more than happy to do a roll call vote. Is there any further discussion? Board Member Gomez Schmidt.
Yeah, I just wanted to caution us, just as we go into this, I fully support the $2 increase. I am interested in hearing the proposal. I think it's really important to understand the really difficult budget we have in front of us. And the challenge of overextending ourselves right now and what that's going to do for next year. I don't want to have to come back to this community and say we have to hire less people next year because we overextended. So I just want to be able to realistically look at all of the uncertainty that we have coming up, realizing that we do value our staff, we do. And I'm interested in the proposal for that reason, but just want to caution us with the budget outlook ahead and so many uncertainties.
Board Member Gomez Schmidt, I greatly appreciate the thoughtfulness of what you just said. And I also want to counter what you just said by saying we invested over $4 million last year in staff bonuses, and that funding came from our inability to fill vacancies. So positioning ourselves to hire less people while recognizing the struggle we're currently having to fill vacancies is part of the conversation that we have to have. And I think there's a need to balance that. And I don't say that because I disagree with what you're saying fundamentally. I just think that it is a multifaceted conversation.
And can I just say, I
Yes,
really appreciate
absolutely.
that. And I think we have been grappling with this now for months, and I can see how much that everybody wants to do. And so I just want to say that I do recognize that. And the bonuses are a way that we use to show the staff who have been doing so much hard work, how much we value them.
Thank you for speaking to that, Board Member Gomez Schmidt. Any further discussion? All right, I'll proceed with a roll call vote. Johanna, your advisory vote.
I agree.
Board Member Muldrow, aye. Board Member Simpkins. Board Member Nichols. Board Member Castro.
Aye.
Board Member Pearson.
Nay.
Board Member Vandermeulen.
Aye.
Board Member Gomez Schmidt.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-1. There is no old or new business for this meeting. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, Board Member Gomez Schmidt. Ahana, your advisory vote.
Yep, I approve.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Thanks so much, y'all. Have a nice night.
Laura?